Okay, I'll start my speech in three, two, one. Judges, ladies and gentlemen, before I go on to my speech, I would like to rebut what the cases given by the government side of the House have stated. So we are debating on whether or not we shall provide this standardized knowledge on these political substantive tests and to the status quo given by the government side of the House. They stated that there are two conditions on the citizens. One, right now, the current status quo, the citizens are not knowledgeable enough onto these matters of politics. And secondly, okay, citizens who have this knowledge, in the very first place, they do not want or they are unable to share this knowledge towards other societies as to the status quo. Right now, not all the people are not knowledgeable enough. Okay, so on to the mechanizations given by the government side of the House. They stated that, okay, one of the mechanizations, in order for them to provide the knowledge towards these political substantive, they the citizens are required to study for these tests. However, this is a very big no-no onto these cases. Why? Because uh, so you're saying that the citizens are required to study by themselves, where in the very first place, the knowledge onto this standardized knowledge, not all the citizens know them. And then how would you know that those citizens are able to study the materials or the standardized knowledge that you want them to know in the first place? But you, as the government side of the House, does not provide the mechanizations on how you guys will give out this knowledge towards the citizens in the very first place. And going back to the status quo, as not all the citizens who have this knowledge will share the knowledge towards the society, how will you prove that these citizens who are willing to study will gain the knowledge as same as the ones who have the knowledge in the very first place? Okay, even if you're saying that, okay, we are able to prepare these studies to prepare for these certain tests, this will provide towards the cases one that only privileged people who are able towards answering towards these tests given by the mechanizations by the government side of the House. Why I am able to say this? Because number one, that in as towards the cases that they are studied individually, meaning that they need to provide the matters individually, like the models, like the you need to provide the utilities such as the handphones and so on and so forth, the money to buy books and the internet and so on and so forth, and also the time for you to actually learn these kinds of knowledges. This will create the stigma on discrimination that will be discussed more onto my points. Okay, uh, but at the end of the day, they agree that yes, they need the standardized knowledge, but going back towards the mechanizations, they do not give us like how are the citizens are going to get this standardized knowledge, and even if the citizens can get this standardized knowledge, does it actually meet the criteria given by the government side of the House, the standardized knowledge? If in the very first place they do not give the syllabus and so on and so forth, and then they give the examples on sim when okay we can learn to actually study for taking these sim tests, and yes we can take the ability for people to not drive or to not vote in the very first place if they do not have this knowledge. However, given by the case of sim, okay, what is sim? Surat izin mengemudi. Uh, the stigma here that the syllabus needed for you to actually learn how to drive is already as present in the very first place. Well, in this case right now, we do not know the syllabus. We do not know what we should study, what and the standardized knowledge that given by the government side of the House. And then talking about SIM, that this is a daily skill that we all are able to study, even if we do not study it from like coaches or somewhat like that. We are able to study them by even by ourselves, autodidact, and so on and so forth. But seemingly towards the political side of the politics, we need the sources towards in order for us to be able to understand the knowledge given. And then they talk about the stakeholders and talking about the poverty line. However, we as the government, we as the opposition side of the house disagree that these stakeholders will actually vote for this poverty line, as the representatives towards the poverty line is unavailable as towards the discrimination. And then even if they can actually do this, but uh, are the people in the poverty line can able to vote and say on their needs in the very first place. And then last but not least, they talking about not utilizing campaigns. While in this case, you will say that this will only favorable towards the people who actually have these experience in the very first place, but not you are not giving the chances for newer people to actually contribute towards this politics. And then going on to my points. Okay, what we are going to answer in the status quo is one, that okay, it is credible towards voting, and then two, it is okay or not to take the rights to vote. Well, in our side of the house, we will not take the right of the votings, but we still have these credible votings. And then going to the urgencies, is it actually going to be urgent for us to create these tests? But in the very first place, we do not give the educations, we do not give the standardized knowledge towards the society in the very first place. Okay, going to the discriminations. Based on the status quo, we know that there will be a stigma where only rich people who can do these tests and pass these tests. Why? Because they study. They study as towards the mechanization given by the government side of the house. They need three things. Number one, money. Number two, the access towards information. And number three, they need the dedication and time towards gaining this knowledge. However, in our side of the house, this will not happen towards the poverty people, because why? At the very first place, they do not have the money to do so. Even if they have the money. Secondly, this will last to no access towards the information because they do not have the devices. And then number three, they use the time for them to actually work in order for them to fulfill their daily needs. This will cause what? This will cause that only privileged people who can only vote, and then this will create the stigma that only those privileged people fulfilling their needs. But in our side of the house, we want to say that this will not fulfill the cases by the poverty people, because why? The urgency given by the poverty people are not be able to be delivered more onto the government side of the house. Even if they can, this will create a demo by the poverty people, because why? They will ask reasons why they could not vote in the very first place. And this will actually create chaos and will make the government not focusing on onto the votings itself. And then going back to the urgency on standardized knowledge, we want to focus on the standardized knowledge rather than giving out these cases. And this is why we are proud to oppose. Thank you.